Sunday is the day I use to reflect, and sometimes some of those reflections turn out to be a video. On the 1st of January, I wrote what I'm going to talk about today, and today is the 5th of January, so it's the end of the first week. Not that 7 days have passed, but tomorrow, Monday, a new week begins. So it's sort of like the last chance to grasp this opportunity to reflect not only in the past week but also in the past year in a way that will serve us better for the rest of the year. And what I'm going to talk about has to do with, I'm not a financial advisor or nothing of the sort. It's just my thoughts on not even money, but our attitude towards things, wanting things. Basically, greed in a short term. About greed, because as the same way as I allowed productivity to sort of ruin my life, same happened with money because I wanted the productivity to get the money. It was always, it was never giving, it was always taking. I've always been through this in a position of what can I get out of this, and never what can I put in, what can I contribute, and with that contribution, what would be fair for me to get out. That's how I am at the moment, but it hasn't been how I've been throughout my life. And I'm a bit tired of being promised the world, like possibly some of you, because um, I've been in this journey for, God, 28 years. I can't believe I'm this old. 28 years I've been in this journey of trying to get there, to make it, to reach it, to haha. And I haven't made it. I haven't made it in the sense of I haven't made what I wanted. I haven't reached what I wanted fully, but I have reached what I wanted, not financially, but in other aspects that, in a way, are more important to me. But finances are important, and you can't live in this world without them. This is a material world, after all. I would like to have them a lot better than I do, and I keep trying. I keep doing my thing, but now in a different perspective, not in the perspective of profitable things, but profit due to the things I do. A proportional a proportional receivement for what I put in, for what I provide, instead of an unbalanced, unproportional result, income, return on investment, if you want to call it that way, because I would put in or give in or provide very little. And this shift has been happening for quite a few months now, but sometimes life changes and it takes time for me to catch up that it changed, that my mindset changed. I started acting, thinking and doing differently, but I didn't realize it, and it takes me some time to become aware that, oh, I didn't usually do this. Oh, so this is how I'm thinking now. I don't remember thinking like this before. I might have for a few months before, but I wasn't aware, and that's the case for this one. So since I've been doing this for quite a few years now, 20 years, 28 years is quite a few. When I started, I remember, for starters, internet was new, sites were new, and it was like how to make money in the internet, make yourself like 100, 200, Maximum was $1,000 a month. And I was like, wow, obviously couldn't make it because the scams were, there was no way to do it the way they were saying. They just wanted people in the site to um, have enough traffic to make enough money with the publicity. The same happened when YouTube showed up. Demands were very, very, very low, and then they start increasing. But then like I decided I won't go anywhere with this. So I stopped for a few years. Then I tried again. Then I stopped for a few years. Then I tried again, and then I stopped completely. But at the same time I didn't, meaning when I stopped and went back, it was like I was relying only on this. And when I stopped but didn't, it was like I don't rely on this. I have my income sources. I have my way of living. I wouldn't mind knowing more to earn more. So I will keep an eye on this to keep up with what's going on. And I started noticing that things were no longer up to 1,000. It was like a millionaire. I think it was from 2008 onwards. Millionaire was the word. Like, God, millionaire. Become a millionaire. Like, as if it was like this. And even though I was skeptic about it, I mean, come on, I couldn't resist watching. I mean, maybe I wouldn't get to the million, maybe I would finally get to the thousands. Same thing. Well, it's not exactly the same thing. It's the same vague promises, vague actions, vague indications, unspecific ways to do things, but wrapped up in a beautiful story in a way that makes us dream, in a way that makes us feel, oh, maybe this is possible. But then we get to the daily life, to the practical things, and we have no idea how to begin because we're not supposed to. We're not being sold the practical things, the daily things, the real actions. We are sold the dream and make your move. Maybe who knows, you'll get it. If you don't, at least you've tried it. In this missing way, like you're just you're here for my audience, you're here for my ratings, you're here for me to get publicity, not necessarily for me to help you. I am going to give you once in a while one thing that might be practical, but it's completely out of context. It might be the 10th or the 20th or the 30th thing you will need to do, but it's something you need to do. It's concrete. It's just not the first thing you need to do. And guess what's the hardest thing? To begin. Regardless, I got tired of it, but I kept looking, and it got to a point that millionaires was no longer good, and billionaires started to be the word. And then people starting to bluntly, like in your face, say, if you want to have traffic, whether it's in your blog, your site, or your YouTube channel, if the articles that talk about the things that you are going to talk about say that or promise that they will give you 10, you can promise 100. If they promise they will give you 100, you can promise 1,000. If they promise 1,000, you can promise 1 million. If they promise 1 million, you can promise 1 billion. They say it. They literally say it. And I got a feeling they used to say it before, when in the beginning, when it was just the thousands. But I didn't want it to hear, not to read, not to really fully take notice of it, because it wasn't convenient for me. I wanted something that would give me that amount, and I wanted it to be true so much that I was willing to neglect the fact that it was a lie, neglect the fact that I wouldn't be able to do it the way they were saying, because they really weren't saying anything, and and hold on to that dream. And when I let go of that dream, um, I can't say I've I know what to do, but a more concrete thought, um, way of thinking has come to my mind. A more concrete way of doing things, anything, not just things that will lead me to have an income, or yeah, have an income, whether it's something I do and get paid for it, or something I put my money in and get an interest for it. Everything, like from from taking care of myself to taking care of my house, from the time I go to bed to the time I wake up, to the way I eat, for the way I take care of my body by exercising, by taking care of it, in the sense grooming, uh, like pampering. Once I stopped pursuing that dream, because it was the wrong dream. The dream wasn't, shouldn't have, never, shouldn't have been for me. Don't know about you, but for me, it should never have been to get something for nothing. The dream should have always been, do your best in whatever you do, and pay attention to what you're doing. Everything you are doing, something will come out of there, some idea will come out of there. And with that idea, it might give you a way to get an income source. And I am saying that because that's what happened after I started following the dream of get something for nothing, and I started doing things on purpose, being thorough with what I do. I started noticing opportunities. Well, this could be an income source. This That could be an income source. That could be an income source. And obviously, I didn't jump to any, but to become aware that they are all around me. They have always been around me. They are all around us. And all we have to do is put them in perspective. Is it something I like to do? Is it something I can do? Is it something I want to do? And if so, is it something people are willing to pay? The amount people would pay for it, would it be enough for the time I would have, or time and effort I would have to put in that thing? If yes, then it's something I can go. If not, then it's something I shouldn't go. And even if it's something I shouldn't go, is it someone else that might think it worth it? And if so, keep it in a log. I say log because this is something I keep in my mind. Because when that person that might find this interesting, might find this worth it, shows up, I will be able to recognize her or him, and I will be able to, by conversation, knowing whether or not the person has what it takes to do it, and decide whether or not I should share with that person that idea. And if I do share with a person that idea, even though I haven't made it, I have given someone an opportunity to do it. I won't get paid for it. I won't get anything for it, no material thing for it. But I will have again done something. I will have contributed with something. And whenever this happens, because this happens a lot, like we are on the outside from someone else's life, and we can see things clearly, coldly, rationally, and we can see opportunities, and we can see um, opponents. Oh, I have some clothing cleaning, but it doesn't matter. I'll take it off later. And we can see opponents, and we can see obstacles, and we can see ways to overcome those obstacles if they are overcomable, or ways to don't engage in those opportunities because of those obstacles, or delay those opportunities until those obstacles can be overcome. And we might not have, sometimes we have immediately, like it's easy, you just do this. Sometimes you don't. But creating awareness in the other person of the obstacles allows them, if they really wanted to, think about how to overcome them. And if they overcome them, then they'll be able um, to evaluate that opportunity for what it is. And if they have what it takes, if they want it, if it's worth it, if people are willing to pay it, and if they like it, they can take it. They can own that opportunity. It has happened so many times throughout my life. And I used to think it was just me, but I realize, remember last video when I talked about being with someone once a week? Well, I've been being with someone once a week, and in conversations, unwilling, with sometimes subjects that are completely unrelated to what we are thinking. People provide us with ideas, provide us with perspectives, different perspectives than ours, and ways of doing things that we would never have thought of. And and those perspectives and those ways of thinking become integrated in us because they help us deal with the obstacles we are facing towards the opportunities we believe are the right ones for us. And we start looking at things differently. So whenever we talk, like, how should I say, not how are you, okay, meow. When we really talk with people, like, no money related, just ourselves, just a conversation, a normal conversation about our lives, how we're doing, what we're doing, what we want, what we like, how are the kids, how's the family, what have you been doing lately that you have enjoyed doing, what's been exciting you, how are you, not so how are you doing in the yeah, fine. But when people are, when we're friends, when we're close to someone, we generally want to know how the other person is, or what we want to know is what we want is to make sure the other person is well. And if for any reason the person says they aren't well, we we have kind of become available to help them become better. Not because we can do something, not because we can say something that will make them become better, but sometimes just having someone listening to us, that alone is enough. Because while we speak, we unravel some of the things that we have in our mind. And sometimes saying things out loud makes us realize them in a different way than when we just have them in our minds. So we are all helping each other if we want. That's why deep relationships are important. Deep connections are important. But even if the relationship is a little bit more shallow, the paying attention to someone, the person receiving the attention might feel like they are on top of the world and that they are special and whatever. And yes, that might be true. But the person providing the attention knows that while we do that, while we actually truly pay attention, we are listening to what the person is saying. We are paying attention to what they are saying. And we know if there's something that they say that resonates with us, a click will happen. We might not have the time to think about that click while we are with the person, but after leaving that person, when we are in our alone time, that click sooner or later will show up in our minds. And that click can lead to one or many sought roads. And those sought roads might lead to one or many opportunities, not only about money, but about life in general. And if we engage in life in a different way than we used to, even if that difference isn't very big, even if it's a small difference, but that small difference is in a better way for us, we will have a different perspective of life. And that different perspective of life again leads, it's funny, it's as if it's like branches. It's we start here and we go here, and then we here, and this divides in like this, and then we here, and each one has several possibilities, and we can have fun just looking at those perspectives. It's not show ourselves to all of them. It's just giving the time to our brain to process them, to to feel. This feeling thing is a bit hard to explain. When we like something, we feel excited, we feel enthusiastic, we feel vitality. We want to do it, we want to think about it, we want to talk about it. It drives us. I think that's a dopamine hit. I don't know, but I think it is. I think that's what they call a dopamine hit. When something, I mean, it looks nice, but it's not our thing. We're like, well, yeah, it looks like it's going to give a lot of money, but it looks like it's going to give a lot of work, and it looks like it's going to be like this and like that, and we find a lot of excuses not to do it. Not just excuses not to do it per se, but the feeling, it's unpleasant to think about it. It makes us feel yucky. It makes us feel um, like it's a Monday morning and it's cold and it's raining and you want to stay in bed, but we have to get up. I mean, we have to, and we do, but we don't want to. That's the feeling, that contradiction. Like it it's good for us, but we don't want to going to work on a Monday cold morning. The same happens with all these ideas. When some ideas aren't good for us, we get that awkward feeling. It doesn't, something doesn't feel right. Can't pinpoint it, but it doesn't feel right. So we just, we neglect that idea. We go to another one that makes us feel good. And we allow our brain to process that for a while until we decide which one we want. And I don't know about you, but my brain doesn't store anything unless it has been a lot thought. So I tend to make lists with just ideas, just write them down. The ones I like, obviously, not the bad ones. I didn't even want to think about the bad ones. And once in a while I look to the list, and this is so silly. Oh, this is so silly. This looks good. The point is, everything we expose ourselves to, books, blogs, sites, videos, conversations with people, views, uh, walking down the street and looking at the scene, whether it's a couple walking with hand in hand, or a family with their kids, or parents with their kids, or two older people, or one older people, or one lonely people, or a fight, or kids from school. It doesn't matter. everything has an influence in us, and everything sparks or doesn't spark something. The point is, if something sparks something, just acknowledge it. And and if it did, have a look at that list and see if it's related to it. It might be, may not be. If it is, well, doesn't matter. If it is, think about it for a bit. Go on, do your thing the same way, but think about it for a bit. Because all this making money, being billionaire, being millionaire, whatever, we end up forgetting that the most important uh, is the daily things. I mean, I've I've wasted time and I've wasted money that following the carrots. Yeah, like I'm the donkey. I was. It's true. Following the donkey that uh, was a lot more than the carrots. B, if I had not done that way, I would be in a much better financial situation. And C, not only did I lost it, I got myself into debt. So I had I had a lot. I lost it. I got myself into debt. And even if I would have gotten any return, it would have been smaller than what I had. So what was I thinking? I wasn't thinking. I was being greedy. I acknowledge I was being greedy. And 28 years, well, possibly 27 or maybe 26. I don't know when I stopped being greedy. But at some point I stopped being greedy because I realized, I mean, I've been doing this for a while. It hasn't gotten me any results. Maybe it's time for me to change and try to do it differently. Uh, and and that's when I started paying attention to what's important. I mean, I've been following the carrot, but what's important? Important is to have a roof over my head. Important is to have food on a daily basis. Important is to be able to take care of myself. A place to take a bath, a place to eat, a place to sleep. Important is to be able to pay the bills that provide me with the water, with the gas, with the electricity to make those things. Important is to be able to afford the house I live in, the roof I live in. I don't mean the house as a house. When I say a house, I mean a roof, because we can have a roof and not have a place to sleep, not have a bed. We can have a roof and not have a bathroom. We can have a roof and not have a kitchen. We can have a kitchen and not have a stove, nor an oven, nor pots and pans, nor plates and dishes, plates and glasses, nor a bathroom with a toilet and with a place to have a shower. So a roof is not a house. A house, proper house, a home has the conditions for us to live and strive. A roof or a house is just walls and a ceiling. It's different. And we tend to blend them together as if they were the same. Oh, I have a house. It's just a house. It's not just a house, it's a home. It's what provides us with the possibility of being able to live um, well. And to live well is different than to live wealthy. To live wealthy, we can have what we need to live well, plus the fun, the extras, the whatever. But to live well is the basics. And sometimes we forget the basics because we want the carrot, we want the dream, we want what we're being sold, which is the wealthy lifestyle or the rich lifestyle or the show off lifestyle. I don't know what lifestyle it is, but it's the millions, it's the billions, it's the gazillion square foot houses when we don't need so much space. It's the uh, it's I don't know, well, the prices of houses have really gone through the roof. Um, for many years, many years, a house wouldn't even reach 100,000. And if it reached 100,000, it would be a luxury house. But when money starts being devaluated and advertised as a commodity, like a million is nothing, we'll talk billions, or a million is nothing. Like, well, what about 10 millions or 100 millions? People start devaluating what's important and overpricing because, well, if people are making that much money, then things can be more expensive, and things are expensive, and people buy it. Let's go on, continue raising prices, and it feels like there's a book called Vanity Fair, I believe, and it shows this. It's like a whirlwind where people are swept in. They sort of don't even know what they're doing, and it takes them to more dangerous and more complicated and more complex, and harder to manage, and harder to live with, and harder to um, continue to be themselves situations, because uh, they are constantly competing. It's like it's a catch up game. It's like, oh, I'm going to do this and I'm going to be happy and I'm going to show off. I am better than others. I guess it's not only greed in here. There's also the comparison game. I am better than others. I am the one. I am this. I am that. And then others don't want to don't want to be below. They up you one, and they say the same. I am better than those. I am. I do. I this. I that. And the other person don't want to feel like that. They up again. And each person is competing with each other to look richer, to look better, to look, I don't know, to make themselves feel better because they have more toys. I don't know. And we believe we are competing with each other and showing off how good we are. While on the other side, there's the market. This is what capitalism gets in. I'm not complaining about capitalism. I like capitalism. But like everything, we need to know what's good for us and what isn't. And in this case, capitalism uses this to, oh, so they are fighting. So let's see if I make houses a little bit more expensive, if they'll still keep buying them. And if they do, well, um, let's give them some time until they start feeling bad with what they have, and then let's put things a little bit higher. And can we do this with more than just houses? What else do people like? Oh, fashionable things. Oh, brand things. Oh, gadgets. What everything that gets shown can be used this way, can be used against us in a way by raising prices to make us want to show off to each other. And we can go in that game if we know and we can afford and we don't mind wasting money. Yes, we can go in that game. Or we can wise up a little bit and decide what do we really need, and how much will buying this more expensive thing and showing off this more expensive thing will make me feel good, plus will give me recognition from my peers, because we tend we tend to believe that the ones who are poor will look up to us, and that will make us feel good. And by saying those who are poor, the ones we perceive as poor or have less money than we do, and we think it's with them that we are competing because they looking up to us makes us feel good because we are better, we have more money, we are this, we are that. When in reality, we are trying to compete with our peers. But guess what? Our peers are in the same range financial. They're in the same range socially. I mean, a few more thousands, a little bit more thousands, a few more hundreds, a little bit more hundreds doesn't really make a difference. Nobody's going to be, if 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 we're middle class, if we're poor, and we earn like 100, 200 more than most people, or even 1,000 more than most people, we're still poor. If we're poor and we start earning um, uh, like 5 or 10,000 more than most people, we stop being poor. We climb one step. That's when people look up to us. It's not because we have an expensive car, an expensive house, an expensive necklace, an expensive watch, an expensive clothing. We go out to expensive places. That doesn't make a difference. Anyone can do that. There are credit cards around. Everybody, everybody can pretend to be rich. Uh, but to actually be rich, to actually earn that amount, and to be able to do other things that n- not even a credit card can allow. And don't don't get me wrong. When I say this, um, I don't mean get an even more expensive car or even more expensive watch or a even more expensive clothing. What I mean is to be able to not worry about whether you can pay or not the bills in the end of the month, to be able to go to the supermarket or the grocery store and buy whatever you feel like it within a budget, because just because you're making a lot more money doesn't mean you're going to blow it all in the grocery shop. But like twice as much, a budget that is twice as much what it used to be, for instance, or 3 times as much. You set the limit, it's up to you, it doesn't matter. But you'll be able to go to the grocery shop and buy whatever you want. That makes a difference for the people that are with you, because people who are living from paycheck to paycheck, paycheck to paycheck, can't afford to be that okay. And if they pretend they do, they will make themselves even worse. And if you're middle class, and again, you're comparing yourself to others, making 10,000, 20,000, 30,000 more than others, it doesn't make much of a difference. But if you make 100,000 more, 200,000 more, again, you climb another step. I have no idea. I have no idea. I've never been in that situation. I have no idea what things will set you apart from in middle class from others. So while you're poor, when you're poor, what sets you apart is you are able to get the basic needs without any effort, without any suffering, without any tremor, whether or not you can pay the bills at the end of the month. You can do those things, and you can save for your vacations, and you can go on vacations, and you can have one or two nice things you want. You can have more if you want, but not show off if you want. And those things don't even have to be seen by others. Nobody knows whether or not you have um, gotten, I don't know, an expensive piece of meat instead of the cheapest. Nobody knows if you what you have for a dinner on a Thursday night is whatever fancy dish you make. Nobody knows that unless you advertise it, unless you flaunt it to the world, and unless you do it in a flaunting way. Sorry, because you can show what you do. For instance, I have a learning to eat channel. I didn't flaunt anything because I have nothing to flaunt, but I have a learning to eat to cook channel, and I would like to uh, make certain dishes that I can't because A, I don't know how to, B, even if I didn't know how to, I could afford it. When I do, when I do get to afford it, I'm not going to flaunt it. A, because probably will be too afraid to just spend money, because that's one of the bad things, and being broke for too long. Um, so I'll probably save up for those things, and and I'll try to, if I ever do it, I will try to do it in from a humble place, from like, this is an opportunity for me. This is something I always wanted. This is something I finally learned to do it, and this is something I finally have the conditions to do, instead of look at me, look at what I eat on a Tuesday. It's different. The way we show up makes it different. Um, but no one's going to know if you don't show people around. What people might pick up on is you're less stressful. You're less you're less stressful. Basically, you're less stressful. You go through life with calm, with ease, without worry. It's something you can't pinpoint, but you notice. Um, while you when you're middle class, I believe that happens as well. I mean, I've never been middle class, but I've dealt with people from that class, and even though they have money, even though they have the good things, even though they show up looking good, and they do all the right things, uh, but if you have a conversation with them, if they open up to you, and even they sometimes they don't even open up, they're just talking, and they are constantly flirting, um, showing off to each other. Trips, like trips. I went here, I went there. That's their main main subject. I stayed here, I stayed there, I did this, I did that. But abroad, abroad, or while traveling somewhere else in the country, and not in the place they live. That's their main coin of showing off. I don't know what sets them apart from rich. I've dealt with very few people that are rich, but I have had that opportunity. And but it was I've been around them. I haven't really engaged with them. I've been around them, and I was able to observe. And what I have observed is they don't show off much. They are proud in their family. They are proud that their ancestors. They are proud in their current family, their spouses, their kids. They are proud of what they have, yes, but their conversations are more. It's as if it's as if from poor to rich, we don't have access to anything, and we want everything, and the rich have access to everything. Maybe they are fed up because they had it for so long. They reduce it to the, I wouldn't say to the important things only, but they determine what is important for them. And two of the things I've noticed is their families, their history as a family, uh, their their offspring, and their spouse. So their close relationships. That's one of the things I've noticed. They also have um, money because they have assets, and they do pay attention to them, but they don't talk about them. They don't flaunt them. In fact, they keep them as, I wouldn't say a secret. It depends. Some people are rich and everybody knows where they make their money from, and some people are rich and nobody knows what they make their money from. Whether people know or don't know, they don't talk about it. They keep it to themselves because they are not their money. They are not what makes them their money. They are an individual who has the opportunity to make money that way. And when they are working, when they are doing whatever it is they are doing that allows them to make money that way, they are fully on. But when they are not, they are human beings trying to be human beings and not human beings trying to show off that they are human beings that make a lot of money. If that makes sense. And even between them, there's competition, um, different competition, but even between them, there's competition. Yeah, between them is more like the amount of assets and the amount of millions, but they don't say it like that. It's not I'm worth this millions, or I have this or I have that. It's more like it's indirect. They aren't the ones saying. It's more like something shows up in a magazine, something shows up in a newspaper. This company did this, has that, whatever. Some things can't be kept a secret. We never know when they are really showing off or not. We don't never know if they are showing off uh, or or they have to report that, and companies or newspapers and communications ways decided that that's something that should be told to everyone. But regardless if it's their will or the world we live in, others there are that are in the same um, uh, um, that are rich like them um, will know. Oh, so now they have this much, and my company or my way of making money hasn't been talked about for so long. And if they are um, boastful enough to want to belong in one of those rankings of rich people, knowing that they will now go down in rank doesn't make them feel good. So they strive to make more money, to be better. For them, it shows in millions. For everyone below, it shows in greed, in uh, the not paying taxes. They do it legally, it's true, but it hurts everybody else by not raising uh, incomes or salaries, by not using the money they profit from to improve the conditions of their workers, or to provide them with bonus from having worked, or to give them an incentive to continue to work and to work better. Everything triples down. So it doesn't matter what class we're in. If we allow ourselves to be in this competition game, we are the losers. Everybody is the loser. Even the wealthy ones. Everybody is the loser. Because we're like puppets. We are unpaid actors in our lives because we have to do certain things. We have to act certain roles. We are the parents or sons or daughters, or cleaners, or cooks, or workers, or I know we put on a lot of hats, and the only part we get paid for is our job, or whatever we do to make to provide us a revenue. Uh, and we are puppets because when those who are wealthy um, engage in this comparison game, allow themselves to go that way as well, we get our situation worsened, or at least not improved, and we have to dance to their tune because we don't have enough power to make it different or to make it change. So if we start if we start a comparison game with ourselves, we would at least maintain some guarantee of what really um, is important. I just put this in here because there's the middle term. When we're fearful, when we have fear, it robs us of opportunities. When we are greedy, it robs us of guaranteeing the living expenses and or guaranteeing the living expenses are covered, and depletes us from our money reserves. And the middle term isn't in the middle. It's a range. It's a little bit. There's a little bit of fear and a little bit of greed, but not far out, not in the extremes. Just a little bit. We gotta know when it's useful for us to be afraid, and no, we shouldn't go that way because it will probably not provide us enough, and we have no idea what we're doing, and or we have no idea what we're doing. But we should also be a little bit greedy, the tiniest bit of greedy, to recognize when an opportunity is an opportunity. Wait, I can do this. Wait, this is something I know how to do. Wait, this can provide me something. Now, the difference between a little bit and a lot of greed is the something is probably not thousands, it's probably not tons of thousands, and it's definitely not millions if obviously we're in middle class or poor. Obviously, if we're already rich, this is doesn't even apply. It does apply to them as well, but nobody no, but what does it matter? So we got to realize that the bit of greed, it's a very small amount. It can be 100, it can be 150, it can be 200. I don't think it even reaches 500. If it reaches 500, it's like a huge opportunity. So lower our expectations down, or lower our expectations, instead of a huge amount of money, small amounts of money, but lots of opportunities that provides small amounts of money end up resulting in a lot of money. And that's the lesson I've 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 gotten. And I've done the few ones a lot of times too, because the little bit of fear is realizing I have no idea what I'm doing. I don't know if this is going to provide something or not, or this is too much. I can't handle it. It's not something I really. It might even provide a good amount, but it's not something I'll be able to do. This is the good amount of fear. The bad amount of fear is, oh my God, this is going to give so much. Oh no, no, oh no, no, no. And not even analyzing it. Or, oh, this can give money. This can provide some income. But oh no, no, oh no, I'm not. I can't. No. The greed is, I just want money. The fear is, I don't feel I'm enough to do what it takes to get that money. And the sweet spot is knowing when we really don't have the abilities to get that money, and leave that because it's not an opportunity to us, and to know that when you do have the abilities to get that money and to pursue it, even though the amount is small. Uh, I don't know what's. I can't even understand my handwriting. Sometimes a bit. Sometimes a bit more fair, sometimes a bit more greedy, but within this tiny range. I wanted to put this out today. I don't know if anyone's going to watch this. I don't know if anyone's going to benefit from this. I know the qualities of my videos aren't good, but I also know that this is what I've been called for to do today, to provide something to someone that might be thinking, oh, this year I'm going to make millions, billions, whatever. And by thinking that way, you might be endangering the 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 their livelihood, the ability to pay their bills, to get food, to get money, to get their food, to get money, to pay their gas, to get money to live. Uh, if one person in that situation listens to this and is able to put it in perspective, because they can, everybody can do whatever everybody can, but it's always good to have a different perspective. If they can put it into perspective, to know, uh, is the way I'm thinking about getting those millions and or billions, and I hope you do get them, you, whomever you are, if you exist, if anyone is listening to this, is the best way, or if there's another way to do it, and pivot if you believe that's not the best way. It's not I'm going to give up of my dream. It's not I'm going to stop pursuing. It's more I'm going to pursue in a way that is, I wouldn't say suitable to me, in a way that I know I can reach um, the result in a without risking my livelihood, guaranteeing my livelihood. I would be able to risk. That's why I wrote the money reserves. And that's something I started learning halfway through 2010, maybe. No, a little bit earlier, 2006. 2006. 2006, I rented the house. And it's not easy to rent a house. It wasn't easy to rent a house. I was used to spend all my money. I used to live in my parents, my mother's house, and I used to spend all my money, whatever I wanted, to willy nilly. And I had to pay water and gas and this and that and that, and it was a shock. And it was the first time that I had to refrain myself from doing something. Until then, I only refrained myself when the bank account was empty, which usually was before the 15th. I got paid on the last day of the month or the first day of the month, and by the 15th, I had no money. And by no money, I mean like five, two, something like that. So from the moment I rented the house, I couldn't willy nilly anything. I had to pay the rent. I had to pay gas. I had to pay the utilities. I had to pay everything. And then I would have something left. And that something left would allow me to do something or not. And I still managed to spend it all until the 15th. And I did it for like a few months until I gave up. Because like I didn't want to live like that. And I realized, well, I'm being silly. I mean, I'm giving the little money I have left, I'm throwing it away, like eating out, gas, doing some rides. I mean, I can't go on living like that. And that's when I found frugality, and that's why until today I'm very fond of it. It at first people told me, oh, you should put some money aside, and I couldn't, because if I put money aside, I couldn't live. And with frugality, I realize it's not a matter of putting money aside, it's a matter of managing well the money I have to do the best I can with what I have, to manage the resources like food, like the utilities the best way I can, so I can spend the least amount in them without um, without stopping to provide myself, without there's a word for it, I can't remember now. Um, and at the same time, with that remaining money, or with the money I didn't waste it by mismanaging those resources, then choose to blow it all up or save it or do both. And I decided to do both. Then I would blow up the savings because I wasn't saving for the long term. I was always saving to blow up because I couldn't do some of the things I wanted to do on a monthly basis. But after saving for a few months, I could do them, and I wanted to do them, and I did them, and it was not the best, but it was what I did. And in a way, if I hadn't done it then, I would be doing it now, which means I would prolong the situation I've been in through all my life for longer. At least now I don't want to do those things because I've done them. I've done them. Well, I just hope. I did this with the intention of sharing my intuition today, uh, of grasping the last day of the first week of the year, and I hope that if someone listens to it, the it will help to put things in perspective. And again, as I said regarding conversations, listen to a different point of view, a different thought, way of thinking, a different perspective might provide a light, which may or may not be the one in the way I was trying to I tried to convey in this video. Might be a completely different one, a completely personalized one to you, but I hope it will help. And have a happy New Year.